Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. All right, we've got Ray Vella, data visualization and visual storyteller, RayVellaStudios.com. Ray, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure. All right, before we get too much further, is it
Sure.
Vella or Vella?
Vella.
Okay, I said it right
Vella.
the first time. Okay.
Yep, you
All right.
did.
Ray, look, you've got everybody in the studio really excited. I've got Giovanni Gallucci, digital strategist that we work with on our business in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna have him jump in every so often if he has a question. But my producer just did backflips, going, "You've got to talk to this guy about what he does." And
Oh, thank you.
without me misdescribing it, tell our audience what it is you do that's so critical to the success of communicating the forward movement of anybody in the data side of the world with people who are not necessarily entrenched in that world.
Great question. Great question. I'll see if I can paint a picture for you. And what comes to mind is that data visualization is essentially the intersection of design and journalism and analytics. And the combination of those three help to, as I have found over the years, I've been doing it many years now, help to tell a story. And, I guess what's in it for big companies is that for all the information they collect, that you can actually, believing that what you collect can then be sold. But if nobody reads it and if no one can understand it, then, you've got a problem. So I guess, essentially organizations have to believe that, the information, that the content that they create, that they rise and fall on it. So that's where data visualization comes in.
All right, give us the background and the disciplines that are required to be effective here.
Okay. So I went to school for illustration and editorial design. So I genuinely had a curiosity. So that over the years just sort of expanded as I went into the editorial world, and I worked originally for USA Today and doing those front page graphics and taking information and illustrating them. And, you start to humanize data by bringing pictures to them. So that became, a launch point. From there, I went on to Business Week magazine, and I worked there for many years, and then on to Michael Bloomberg purchased Business Week. So then I went on to Bloomberg, and then I ended up at MasterCard now, and I work for many different people.
Okay, when you worked at MasterCard, you were translating data and information.
Sure.
That's kind of a cold, quiet field. How do you turn that into passion and get action out of it?
Well, okay. So, basically like any type of content. So I feel like you just need to be curious about everything in the world around you. But if you can understand, if I can understand the information and then what the message is that the storyteller wants to say and who the audience is, those three things, when they come together, you can pretty much solve, any type of visual problem.
I know there's some science to it, but I get the feeling that there's really a lot of art to it. And you got to have to be born to this part of the communications spectrum to really be effective.
Okay. Well, being an artist is going to help because in my case, I had an illustrator's voice. And, thinking back to when I was a kid, I would be, like go up in the attic, and that's where my parents kept all of their National Geographic and Time magazines. And I'd see this stuff on the cover about, at the time, the atom bomb and the Iron Curtain. And I would ask questions to my parents like, what the heck is an Iron Curtain? Tried describing that to an 8-year-old kid. So I guess with that curiosity and the passion to to draw and, to be a communicator it is just a blast being able to, make stories come alive.
Talk to me about the work you did at Business Week, because you were a leader in telling, both new and business stories and news stories. So what types of things did you work on there?
Okay. I've got something I thought of. I did this some time ago, which I think illustrates the point of data visualization is if you wanted to tell somebody about our federal deficit and you were trying to describe to them, I think it's somewhere at like 18, 19, 20 trillion dollars now. Well, at the time, I had done a graphic. I think it was back when we owed $8 trillion. And really nobody cared back then, but I did, so the editors let me do this graphic that sort of tells that story. And what I did was took a photograph from the space shuttle of the Earth. So if you show the Earth's surface and then the moon, the distance to the moon, so that's roughly 238,000 miles. So if I were to take $1 bills, so we figured this out, a statistician and I figured it out. If we were to take $1 bills and stack them on each other end to end, and they would go out, so at the time the deficit was $8 trillion. And so to show somebody, which I think it starts to be a meaningful conversation, that number at that time at $8 trillion would go 3.5 times past the moon. So now we'd be, I don't know, like 10 times past the moon. That's how much money we owe to the federal deficit.
Great example. Ray, I'm sorry, but we got cut short on time. I want to invite you back because I have more questions for you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ray Vella. He is definitely going to be coming back because I got more questions for him. Data visualization, visual storyteller. You can reach him at rayvellastudios.com. Don't forget the archives are on our website. Content, podcasts, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And listen to CEO Money with Michael Yorba, segment brought to you by Tycon Partners.